Hey everybody, PM Kester here with How to Take a Break, the podcast. For this week's episode, I'm going to try to do what I was trying to post last week, and that is a conversation about loneliness. So we're going to take a break to discuss loneliness. We're going to have a little talk. We're going to talk a little scientifically as well. So get your pen and paper and please go to the comments and let me know how you deal with loneliness, and let's start a conversation on it. All right. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast in its YouTube home over here. If you have not already, please take a break and subscribe. Subscribing helps me reach the little goal that I have in my head of how many subscriptions I want to hit by the end of the year. Thank you for everyone that just keeps making it happen. I appreciate your support. Also, I appreciate when you that says appreciate. Is that even a word? I appreciate when you leave comments as well. And I took one of the comments to heart, and I've been playing around with like a microphone, which was the issue last week. Hopefully this works this week. I'm going to work on projecting better in these videos. So thank you for that feedback. I do listen. I do read the comments. But let's get into loneliness. So this topic came up because in September I hosted a workshop on taking a break for love. It was in support of the I Am Open to Love journal. I'll make sure that's linked in the description box. But I had like a real conversation with the attendees in that workshop, and we were figuring out, where we all were in this life and patterns that we had seen in our parents. And my master's degree is in public health, so I'm always forever reading some type of research or study. But something that's really been getting a lot of play recently has been all these studies on loneliness. And one particular study is maybe like a couple of months old. I know there's a newer study out now talking about men and loneliness, but this was just on the general population, right? And it's from Cornell, and it says something that jumped out to me was, and loneliness is an epidemic that affects 1 out of 2 Americans. 1 out of 2, y'all. Turn your head to the left, turn to the right. Someone at some point in time, they're either experiencing loneliness or have experienced some form of loneliness. Half of us are lonely. Loneliness and social isolation are urgent public health concerns, more widespread than smoking, diabetes, and anxiety. That's telling to me as someone in the public health sector. It also turns out that loneliness poses severe risk to health and longevity. This was interesting to me because, especially when I go out and do events for I Am Open to Love, there's so many, it's usually women that come to a lot of these events. And, they're talking about kind of like how they're maybe dealing with trying to look for love. And I go into this conversation now about loneliness and like getting real with their feelings. And we do a lot of it in the journal. But also issues that they're having, not even with just like looking for a romantic partner, but for friends. Like, it's so hard. So many people are telling me as adults that it's so hard for them to make friends. And so that's like not even looking at if you have a significant, intimate partner, a significant other, is that so many people don't even have a circle of friends or a friend, someone they consider like a real friend, not just some like associated acquaintance, something like that, because there's a difference in it. And that is really what's leading to this loneliness epidemic. But like, how did we get here? And per this story, they talk about how it's like this public health risk. And so something else that I'll drop a link or whatever to, I've been looking at the research on the blue zones. And these are areas in the world where people tend to live longer. They live to become like, they have like the most people that are close to being centurions or like living to 100. And one of the key things, of course, they did all these studies figuring out like what everyone eats, what they're drinking. And that ranges. No one really had like the same stuff that they were eating in each area. But for me, something that I found stood out in all those areas with it and where people lived longest was that they had some type of community. So those people really didn't deal with loneliness too much because they lived longer, because there was a community. There was literally one community in Italy where the women would take in whatever woman, like if your partner died or whatever, there was special attention that they paid for you. And so it's like all these women who were widows became like this big group, right? And they made sure that each other got to the doctor's appointment. They were, spending time with each other. They were in community with each other. And I think that goes hand in hand with what we're seeing now with the loneliness epidemic in the United States. And someone mentioned it, like, there's an issue with this in China, I believe in China as well. But, we're doing a lot of research in the United States now on loneliness. And I think that's what it is. Like somewhere along the way, we've forgotten how to build community. We've forgotten how to make friends. We've forgotten how to be in relationship with people. Look, it's hitting me now as I sit here and I talk about it. Because just really thinking about this and journaling about this and thinking about where I am in my life right now. Because I feel like I started out at the beginning of this year in this place where I was like, I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. I had come off on being in a relationship of like almost 3 years. It got kind of ugly at the end, and it made me do like all this soul searching, right? And I really did feel like I was in a good place. And I was telling myself I'm alone, but I'm not lonely. And I was doing like activities. I got really busy with work, but it got to some point this year where I recognized, and I had to be honest with myself that, okay, I've moved past it. And now I'm in lonely territory. My friend groups have changed from throughout the pandemic. Like I started with this cool big core of friends pre-pandemic in some type of way over the pandemic. And people's life changes. Folks got married. People had kids. Life happened, and we got to a point that the community stopped, right? That community broke up. And I am fiercely loyal. And so I really did have a point where I was like, I felt like I was down friendships. And then I was in this relationship that was also acting as like a friendship placeholder. And so I got to a point this year where I was like, I'm kind of feeling like I'm lacking something. And I had to be honest about it. And I had to start having some honest conversations with people about that. And I feel like I'm skipping ahead, but that led me to think about 3 types of things that someone needs to do to combat loneliness. And number 1, and I've already kind of foreshadowed this and talked about this, is that you have to be honest with yourself. A lot of times, and you see it all on social media now, I don't need nobody. I'm by myself. I'm my own best friend. I'm my own best friend. I do what I need to do for me. I don't need no man. I don't need anybody. Okay, that happens for a while. And I believe that can be true. But what happens when you move from that stage? What are those feelings there? Are you feeling sad? Are you feeling empty? Would you like to go to the movies with someone? It's okay. You don't have to enjoy going out to eat all the time by yourself or going to the movies all the time by yourself. It's okay to admit that you want someone to go with you. It would be nice to have someone to go with you to these things. it's okay. You're not saying that you just don't want to never do this stuff by yourself again. But I think we have to be honest with ourselves about what we're feeling and what it is that we are lonely. We want a friend. We want a significant other. Um, the type of loneliness that we're feeling. We want more family interaction. We have to be honest with ourselves about what it is. Number 2, in combating loneliness, define what you want. Like I said, once you're honest with yourself that, hey, I am lonely, now what do you want? Do you want an intimate partner? Do you want friends? You can do that, right? Do you want to be closer to your family? Because that's a type of loneliness too. I've experienced it myself. I have not been very close with my mom and with my sisters and with my sister. And I went to a point where I tried to like chase that avenue to see what it would be like. But I had to be honest with myself first of like, all right, I'm going to be intentional about trying to build this relationship at that time. And, kind of answer what that type of loneliness, because there's different types, right? There's different types of loneliness. There's different ways to define what it is we want or what we need in a particular time. So define what you want. And number 3, reach out. One of the things that pissed me off when I got divorced in 2018, I remember talking to a friend who was single. After, my gosh, like I was separated for a year. But it got to a point, at some point, in that time when I went to her and I was like, do you ever feel lonely? And she kind of stopped and she stumbled and she was like, a little stutter, and was like, no, like, why would I feel lonely? But I think I threw her off, and I think it's because she was trying to fight being honest about what it is. And that's what pisses me off. Be honest about your emotions, because in that moment, her telling me that she did experience loneliness would have helped me, because I was beating myself up at that time, because I'm just like, I should be happy. I'm divorced. This is supposed to be the best time of my life. But I was actually a little lonely. But everyone I was talking to about it was just making it seem like something was wrong with me. So reach out to people, okay? Don't feel pressured to kind of keep these emotions to yourself. Reach out. If it's a therapist, if you're someone who goes to church, reach out to like pastors and people in that church, friends, family. Reach out. Also use that as a way to make you like network. Join some groups. Like if you're someone that's suffering from loneliness and what you figured out the type of, loneliness, like you define what you want and you want friends, join meetup groups. Go join a yoga studio or something like that. Find something you like to do, and then in that, help broaden your group. Be open. Be open. That was some advice someone gave me about looking for love recently. Be open. But I think that applies to like building community. Be open for someone to come in and be your friend, for community to come. And I know some of us, are very introverted or can be very introverted at times, but allow yourself to be open to what's out there and to allowing community to find you and being in community with people, and just watch how that changes your life. All right, 3 ways to combat loneliness. Number 1, be honest with yourself. Number 2, define what you want. Number 3, reach out. I hope this helped you. It helped me at the time when I was thinking about it. Drop a comment and let me know how you have dealt with loneliness, if you're dealing with loneliness. Be honest in the comments. Until next time, find a little time to take a break. Bye.